You may have noticed that every time you select Reload, the Java class representing the JSP page is run again, and the supporting classes, the beans and the tags, are all started from scratch with new instances created from their class definitions. This lesson demonstrates how you can use this to get things to do what you want them to do. Here's a simple bean. It has 3 methods that produce character strings representing the current time. Now this time is derived from the information on the server, not on the client. This first method, the one named getNewTimestamp, creates a new date object every time it's called. That means that the date string it returns will always show the time that the method was called, and every time your JSP page is refreshed, the timestamp will update. This second method, the one named getOldTimestamp, returns the value from a date object that was created at the same time a new object of this class was constructed. And here it is. It's a private class, and the new statement is an initializer that is executed as the object is created. So the timestamp returns the time of instantiation. The third method is getStatTimestamp, and it returns the value stored in a class variable. And here it is. Now this is a static declaration, so it becomes a part of the class at the moment the class is compiled, and it never changes after that because it's stored in the class file and never modified. The method will return the same timestamp until the class is compiled again. Now, this makes it look like you could get 3 different timestamps, but you really just get 2. Here at the top of the page is the tag that assigns an internal name to the bean class, which I just showed you. This is standard HTML. It specifies that the page is to be refreshed by itself by loading a new copy of itself once a second. That's so we can see the timers if they change. Here's the first time shown on the page. This is a call to the method named getNewTimestamp. This is the one that causes the creation of a new date object every time you call it. So this one should result in a new time once each second. This is a call to the method getOldTimestamp, and the time for it comes from a date object that is created when the object is created from the class. Now this one is the one that may surprise you. I'll show you this in a minute. This last one calls the method getStatTimestamp. This is the one that creates a new date object at the time the bean is compiled into a class file. Now here's what happens. The first step is to create a new WAR file and deploy it to the server. Okay, it's ready, so we can look at the page. The 3 timestamps all start out the same because the first display of the page causes the bean to be compiled. That happens with the first call to one of its methods. The first timestamp changes every time it's displayed because the method call creates a new date object and extracts the time from it. The second timestamp changes every second because every time the method of the object is called, a new instance of the object is first created from the class. Thus, a new date object is created. The third timestamp doesn't move. If you remember, the third date object is a class object. That is, it's created at the time the class is compiled, and it remains at the same time as long as the compiled class file exists. Here, let me show you. There. The web browser's closed. Now, let me display that same page again. You see, the third timestamp still hasn't moved. The first two timestamps have jumped to the current time and continue to move, but the third one, the static object, is stored in the class file and will only be updated when the bean is recompiled. And it will only be recompiled when that's necessary, when the source code has been updated. I could actually shut the server down and restart it, and the time would remain the same because the class file would still exist in the server's files.